Hey guys, and welcome. So, first things first, we have to address the elephant in the room, and that's we hit 100 subscribers. I have to say that when I saw that number, I was so overwhelmed that I thought I was gonna throw up. It's just a lot of people. So, I wanted to say thank you for your support, your comments, and I have really enjoyed reading your guys' opinions on things. So, thank you. And now that we have that out of the way, I figured that I'd make a part two to my last video. I was baffled by how many of you have seen Delicatessen. And I think it made me realize that just because I think a movie's an obvious choice to put in a video like this, and just because I think everyone's seen something, that doesn't necessarily make it true. So moving forward, I'm going to be adding more of those more obvious to me picks into my videos as well. Just in case. Maybe you guys haven't seen them, heard of them. So if you want to hear more about movies that made me go, what the fuck did I just watch? Then stay tuned. Number 1, Natural Born Killers. Natural Born Killers is one of the most unapologetically deranged love stories ever put to film. Directed by Oliver Stone and loosely based on the story by Quentin Tarantino, it follows Mickey and Mallory Knox, two outlaws who fall headfirst into a killing spree and somehow become America's favorite celebrities in the process. These two are chaos in human form, shooting, stabbing, and laughing their way across the desert. From the moment it starts, the movie feels like a roller coaster. It jumps from black and white to color to animation to fake sitcoms, sometimes all in the same scene. There's a laugh track in one moment and a massacre in the next. It's dizzying and absurd. Natural Born Killers is holding up a cracked mirror to the way we consume violence, how we can turn anything, even serial killers, into pop culture. The editing is manic, the sound design is chaotic, and by about the 20-minute mark, you start to realize that the real villain isn't Mickey or Mallory, it's the audience. Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis are the kind of unhinged you can't fake. He's got that lazy, southern charm and a dead-eyed calm that makes you believe every word he says. And she's just pure energy, reckless, childlike, and terrifyingly free. Together they're magnetic, like two people who found each other in hell. The satire is sharp, and the film turns America's obsession with true crime and celebrity into a carnival freak show. There's a TV reporter, played by Robert Downey Jr., doing a hilariously sleazy Australian accent, who turns their killing spree into prime-time entertainment. Even the victims are complicit, desperate to touch fame no matter the cost. Every character is both predator and prey, caught in this endless cycle of feeding on violence and being consumed by it. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is shot like a sitcom, complete with a laugh track, where we see Mallory's abusive father making incest jokes, while the audience howls. It's uncomfortable and brilliant. Nearly 30 years later, it's still one of the most aggressively relevant movies out there. It predicted the true crime boom, the 24-hour news cycle, the influencer age, all of it. It's ugly, loud, and impossible to look away from. Number 2, The House That Jack Built. The House That Jack Built is Lars von Trier at his most deranged, self-aware, and darkly funny. Basically, a 2.5-hour argument between a serial killer and God about whether murder counts as art. Matt Dillon plays Jack, an architect who decides architecture isn't dramatic enough, and starts building his portfolio out of corpses instead. The movie split into 5 incidents, each one the story Jack tells to a man named Verge, as they wander through the underworld, kind of like Dante's Inferno. Jack isn't the slick, movie-type killer. He's awkward, obsessive, and annoyingly philosophical, The kind of guy who won't just stab you, he'll lecture you about the aesthetics of stabbing first. Which is mostly well done, but does at times come off as rather pretentious. Every scene swings between horror and comedy. One moment he's panicking about bloodstains like a germaphobe, the next he's arranging bodies into what he insists is a sculpture. He calls himself Mr. Sophistication, which is incredibly obnoxious. The murders are awful, but the real horror is how banal they feel. Then he undercuts them with something absurd, like a corpse on a rope being dragged behind a van, leaving a trail across town while Jack whines about perfection. As it goes on, Jack gets progressively worse. The final act goes full fever dream. Jack literally builds a house out of frozen bodies, as you do, and then descends into hell, guided by Verge, who listens to his pseudo-intellectual rambling. Jack truly believes he's an artist misunderstood by the world, while Verge just keeps pointing out he's a narcissist on his way to eternal damnation. It's impossible not to see Von Trier in Jack. The ego, the controversy, the obsession with making people uncomfortable. This isn't a director defending his art. It's one admitting his guilt and then immediately turning it into another art project. By the end, when Jack finally falls into the abyss, it's not tragic, it's kind of funny. He spent 2 hours explaining why he's special, and hell doesn't care. The house that Jack built is disgusting, pretentious, occasionally brilliant, and sometimes even funny. Von Trier basically made a serial killer comedy about himself, and somehow, against all odds, it works.
Number 3, Mother.
Mother is unlike anything I've ever seen before. The cinematic equivalent of being locked inside someone else's unending nightmare. Directed by Darren Aronofsky, it's his most chaotic, feverish, and divisive work. A mix of biblical retelling, environmental parable, and toxic relationship drama, all filmed like a horror movie. It's polarizing for good reason. Some people see it as genius, others as pure nonsense. The story starts out small. Jennifer Lawrence plays a woman who lives with her poet husband, Javier Bardem, in a massive, isolated house in the middle of nowhere. She's rebuilding the place after a mysterious fire, lovingly painting walls and scrubbing floors. Her husband, meanwhile, is stuck in a creative rut, until a random stranger shows up at their door, followed by his wife. What begins as an awkward visit quickly turns into an invasion, and before long, the house is full of uninvited guests, treating it like their own personal sanctuary. At first, it's just weird. Then it's uncomfortable. Then it turns into complete madness. Rooms are smashed. People start worshipping Bardem's character, and Lawrence, who's only ever called Mother, watches as her home, her body, and her sense of self are slowly devoured. By the time the third act hits, all hell breaks loose. Every single thing in Mother is symbolic, and Aronofsky doesn't even pretend otherwise. The house is the earth, Lawrence is nature, or creation, or the maternal divine, depending on your mood, and Bardem is God, an artist so obsessed with adoration that he lets his followers destroy everything he loves. It's a story about creation and destruction, about humanity's endless hunger to take, consume, and praise only after the damage is done. It's also, more simply, about the horror of being the only person in a relationship who actually gives a damn, while the other one chases validation from strangers. For most of the movie, the camera is right in front of Lawrence's face, following her through every room, every breakdown. You feel her confusion, her dread, her absolute helplessness, as her world fills up with noise and chaos. And Bardem plays his role perfectly, all warmth and charisma, until it curdles into something quietly monstrous. He's the kind of man who can destroy the world and still think he's the victim. Then there's Michelle Pfeiffer, who strolls into the movie like she's on her own private vacation in hell. She's passive-aggressive, seductive, cruel, and somehow hilarious. She's the living embodiment of the kind of guest who destroys your house while insisting she's helping. And you're trapped in this house with her, waiting for something to snap. And it does snap. The final 30 minutes are insanity. Crowds flood the house, worshipping Bardem, tearing the place apart. Soldiers storm in, gunfire erupts, babies are born, and, well, if you've seen it, you know. You stop trying to get it and just ride the wave of madness. When it's finally over, there's no sense of closure. The house burns, the cycle resets, and everything begins again. You realize that this wasn't just a story. It was a loop. Creation, destruction, creation again. And it will keep happening forever. Humanity destroys what it loves and then worships the ashes. Mother is one of those movies that's impossible to feel neutral about. It's pretentious, brilliant, grotesque, self-indulgent, and unforgettable. Love it or hate it, it leaves a mark. Number 4. Enter the Void. So this movie is the freshest in my mind as I just watched it a couple of days ago. It was recommended by many, many Redditors, although maybe that should have been a red flag right there. So, Enter the Void is what happens when a movie tries to portray what your mind sees on drugs, as well as what happens when you die. Directed by Gaspar Noé, it's a psychedelic, nauseating, neon-soaked trip through life, death, and everything in between. 2.5 hours of drifting through Tokyo like a ghost, seeing the aftermath of your death. This story, if you can call it that, follows Oscar, a young American drug dealer living in Tokyo with his sister, Linda. He's shot and killed early on during a police raid, and the rest of the film takes place from his disembodied point of view as his spirit floats above the city, watching the fallout of his death. Noé films it all from Oscar's literal first-person perspective, sometimes through his eyes, sometimes hovering behind him, sometimes soaring over Tokyo like a drone. The camera never stops moving. It glides through walls, tunnels, bodies, clubs, wombs, and dreams. The visuals are relentless, and the movie would be every epileptic's worst nightmare. Tokyo pulses in radioactive color, the lights strobe, and the camera spins. Despite the sensory overload, Enter the Void is surprisingly tender underneath all of the fluorescent madness. Oscar's ghost isn't vengeful. He's lost, watching the people he loves repeat the same mistakes he did. His sister spirals into grief. The people around him move on or fall apart. And he just hovers, powerless and yearning. The camera becomes his soul, desperate for meaning. Of course, being a Gaspar Noé film, it's also unapologetically explicit and occasionally insane. Although I don't have a problem with explicit content, I have to say it felt overdone and uncalled for at times. As viewers, we don't have to be shown the complexities of a relationship through constant inappropriate nudity. The acting alone should have been able to convey that. Also, I was frustrated with the characters quite a lot. But Noé did a great job at showing what it could feel like to die, to drift, to maybe be reborn. By the end, when the lights fade and the chaos settles, you realize that all that noise, the strobes, the bodies, the trance-like editing, was just a desperate attempt to show something incredibly simple. Love, loss, and the horror of having to let go. Enter the Void is pretentious and occasionally unbearable, but it's also unlike anything else ever made. So those are my 4 picks for today. As always, thanks so much for watching, and if you have any recommendations of your own, or if you agree or disagree with me, please let me know. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.